I want to give some opening questions, which will give you the opportunity to attach dates to some events.
Yes, sir.
And it goes to the UN compound incident. We like you to reflect on the time frame between that incident and the Lutheran Church incident. If there were any casualties at the UN compound, and give us a little bit more detail on what happened. And then at the Lutheran Church, you mentioned that when the shooting started, I think you passed off. You didn't say pass off, but you didn't know what happened until you heard a voice. Are there any more survivors? Anybody alive in there? But do you recall whether there was a bloodbath at the Lutheran Church? In your state of stupor when you pass off, do you remember hearing cries and pleas of innocent people? Do you have any idea who committed the act? There were allegations that the president may have visited there. I heard a statement from you on that. Could you just succinctly tell us what happened and how those two incidents were related in terms of time frame?
Oh, okay, thank you. With regards to the incident at the UN compound, that was, just like the one at the Lutheran Church, that was not something that anybody even dreamed about that could happen. All I can remember were there was this Corando Jeep, this Jeep thing that came in, and what we thought, and I say this so that maybe you don't hold me to that, but what I kind of remember at the end of the whole exercise, there was this tag that Sato used to use. It was almost like they stuck a pilot, there was one of it that was silver with some red lining in it. So that's what we thought, that it was people from the Sato unit that said, but that I saw them like that, no. It was just, we were in a whole place. So basically, that's what I can remember. A lot of people got hurt, and there may have been some death that I'm not sure of, but I'm sure that what I saw, a lot of people got hurt, like their hands and stuff like that. That's what I remember at that incident. And it happened last night, and today we got in contact with the Liberian Council of Churches, and that evening they brought us to the Methodist compound. We were not able to see those who came in the building. There was no electricity in the night. We go to bed, but we know for sure it's like in the middle of the night when there's a lot of fire and there's lights, sort of like lights all over. And I remember very well hearing people saying, look, okay, just shoot me right here, and there was a lot of people in the school, in the church, because I was in the church, and what happened in the school I wouldn't know. But what I also do know for a fact is that prior to the Lutheran incident, people have started leaving the displaced facility. They've started leaving the Lutheran church, and they've also started leaving the Methodist church, that I remember. But that I saw, that we saw them, no. How did I survive? In the process, people got shot, people dropped over one another, and I just happened to have been under, somebody. So basically, that's what I do remember that time.
So you survived by dead bodies falling over you, and you are presumed to be there?
Well, people fell over me, and to be honest with you, at that point, it was only when this person said what he said, and I heard voices and I like came out where we got our walk, because like we walked from the Harper's Lounge area at the 13th or 15th Street, wherever, from that area. But at the over the window of the Lutheran church, you could see people hanging, because the window is kind of steep. They're people trying to get outside. You could see them like hanging over the window like that, outside. So.
Okay. Commissioner Cornell.
I want to thank you, Mr. Witness, for appearance before us, sharing with us what you witnessed and experienced during the civil conflict.
Thank you.
In your general testimony, you try to convince or to make clear to the TRC that long before the civil conflict, you were engaged in business.
Yes, sir.
With a capital. Please tell us, what was the name of that business that you were doing before? What was the type of business you was doing, and when you started such business?
Thank you, sir. Like I told you earlier, I said I started off when I was like in 10th grade. I used to go to Denani and buy these Mortimer watches, because at the time when we moved to Nimba, we were living with our uncle after our father died. And I mean, from Monrovia to Nimba, that was a real big transition. So my mother come from a town called Saye-Taayor that is very close to the custom border. So I happened to have met a family from Ma. The man is called Dumbuya. He had a son called Siaka. His daughter is today married to one A.B. Krumah, who used to be with the Liberian Electricity Corporation. It was that family that took me into Ivory Coast. The man was a trader in and out, so I would go and buy these watches. At the time, they were like, I think me-franc or demi-franc, just a little, around $8 or less, and I would bring it to Sonic Willie, and then I would sell it. So basically, that was how I started. And as it went on, it was doing good. Then I came across two guys who had come to Sonic Willie to work. One was Stepney and the other guy was Sumo. One was working for the Liberian Electricity Corporation at the time, and the other guy was working for the Liberian Water and Sewer Corporation. So, like I said earlier in my testimony, music had been like a habit. So we kind of like started, we also started some low club in Sonic Willie. And just about 11th grade, myself and a very popular driver that was in Sonic Willie, whose name cannot come to my memory now, we had decided that because in Sonic Willie we had too big, there was a big Mandingo population. It was Mano Mandingo, it was a big population. So we had decided that Yeye and Tita were the two big social club that we had. So we had decided that we wanted to bring a band from Guinea to play in Sonic Willie. So how do we go? That's how come we came across this very popular driver that I just don't remember his name. So we said we were going to go to Guinea to bring a band called Vendor Band. So we were like three partners. They were like by far older than me. So this guy and I left and we went as far as Kanka. And we were not able to get a Vendor Band because they said That was around the Ramadan time. So we came back, I think somewhere in Lola or there, but we got a bank called Nimba Success also. So we came and had that program. But while we were in Guinea, which was like my first adventure, I found out that there was a need for this palm oil a lot. So when I came back to Saniquale, I chose to buy a lot of palm oil to take it to Guinea to sell. And it started to do good from these jerry cans, from about 5 or 6 jerry cans. I could do like 1 or 2 drums, like when the vehicle was going, we put our load on. And I think I went as far as Bobo Dilaso doing the trade. So immediately, and anybody who saw me graduate from high school in 1982 in Saniquale, they would tell you that for me, there was no party and there was no celebration. My high school principal at the time, I think he's in Monrovia, one Mr. McLean. The reason was that the day we were graduating, that's the day my goose was going. So I had to be a part of the program, but I could not wait, so I went back. And so it was not a business at the time that we have had name as a name. But I can tell you, sir, that when I came to Monrovia, just about the time when the former Minister for Education, Bole, because I was recommended to President Dolo at the time through my uncle, Gabriel Fangalo, who had told President Dolo in a communication that this young man was the son of the late Adolphus Dolo, who had served the army, and we think he should be helped. So he had gone to Saniquale to my late uncle, Joseph Fangalo, who introduced me to the minister, and the minister told me to come down. And when I came down at the time, this same A.B. Kroma was the special assistant to the Minister of Education at the time, and he remembered this story. But I remember when I came to Monrovia, I had no less than $14,000, $15,000. So when I came, normally when we travel as a group, like when we were selling, we would normally like go into a popular hotel where we first saved. That was the trade. So when we came, I stopped at the Holiday Inn Hotel for a good while. And when this scholarship thing was not going straight, that's when I was left with, I think, around 7,000 or so. But then from where I came from, after I came, it was like Leon, it was James, Alfonso. They were all at the university now. So to go back, and when I saw this guy forging ahead, so then I thought maybe there was a need, to stay around. That's how come I went to the garage that I just told you about. But like I said, I still remember the sales guy plate was always, I think, JJWW or something. But that's when I went and like got my first, vehicle and started trading. The business name that I will, when I start, because at the time I've just come from school and it was still like that. The first official name of the bigger club, because what I had here was just like a joint. The first name of the business I had was called Le Classic Club, and that was the one that where you have Pepper Bush is there where the club was, and there are some really very prominent people who are still around, and not to get involved in what I'm doing. If I had to tell you in private who they were and they went there, like I said, very prominent people in society. I can reference them to you. They were also my clients at the place. That was the first official business that I had.
Thank you. So when your business first was registered with government,
I'm sorry, sir?
when did you register your business with the government as a registered entity? What year?
Well, sir, at the time, Arlene George and I had a place, so I did not register it directly. She used to have this place called Arlene's Bar and Restaurant. That's how it was. So when she started having problem with rent, then I was recommended by a guy who worked with her, whose name I don't remember, that this lady needed somebody to share the place with. That's how come I came in and I just...
So you were working under the name of that restaurant nearby?
Well, sort of, sir, except that I changed the name of the place to, that, it was a big place. I changed the name of Masa to Le Classic Club, but it still carried the Islands bar and restaurant name.
Okay, coming to the period of the war, when did you actually join the fighting forces? Because we gathered from you, you fought for INPFL.
Yes, sir.
And if I'm not mistaken, also NPFL.
Yes, sir.
And then the government.
Yes, sir.
Under Taylor administration.
Yes, sir.
So, when did you first join? And
Around,
what rank did you hold in each of these forces? What rank?
Sorry, sir.
I said, when did you join these forces?
Yes, sir.
And what rank you held in these forces?
Well, I first joined, I was first made a part of the, because it's not like join, like I went to join or whatever, no. I was first made a part of the IMPFL in August of, around August of 1990. Because just about the time I left the embassy, and like I say again to you, sir, for the purpose of respecting people's privacy, those who remember when I went to seek refuge at the embassy and when I left there, they are still alive today. They're not the non-Liberians. They are still alive today. Some Liberian security, they're still alive today. And if you would like for me to reference, you to them or them to you, I can do that, sir. So it was actually in August of 1990.
What about, what rank you?
Well, sir, with the IMPFL at the time, there was nothing like a rank. There was always like a commander, a unit commander, a squad leader or so. They didn't have rank in that organization at the time. It was just one commander, and then even if you were, for example, a chief of staff, you would only be referred to as that, not as a captain or as this, as, for example, was in a case of the NPFL. It wasn't that structure. I mean, the IMPFL had a simple structure. It was not about rank or so. You were given assignment and you were a commander also. So, like I said, it's there to find out or to verify, to prove. I started off with the IMPFL in August, and I left the IMPFL in like, say, late October. And to further prove that to you, sir, I refer you to the Airborne, 72 Airborne Battalion of the Nigerian contingent that you can check with the Army. They will give you all of those information. And in fact, while I was here, there was a Colonel Etta, who at the time was a captain. He had come to serve with an army. You can also verify from them. They will tell you exactly my involvement. Well, when I left, because when they came on the ground, that was just about the time that I left, sir.
From August to October, were you engaged in fighting?
Yes, sir.
With which
With the
group?
IMPFL, sir. I said with the IMPFL.
Yeah, you were with the INPFL.
Yeah.
Which group you were fighting?
Which group? Oh, I was fighting against the NPFL.
NPFL.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us some of the areas where you fought?
Well, sir, the active area that my real first major combat was the one on August 24th around the Freeport area. That was my first major fighting, and after that there was always low skirmishes around the Dixville area. And there was one time when we went to Fendel, And on that same day, we had also gone to the Dusa Hospital, and that was the first time I went in those areas. And we had gone there because the instruction was that the NPF has said that Prince Johnson's body is at the Dusa Hospital, so we should go and see it. So we went there and came back like the next day. So those were, if I had some basic, what I could do, and when the 72 Airborne Battalion came, I was attached to them briefly, and after they took up position, we had to engage. That was how come I reverted to Monrovia, sir.
What was the treatment of the civilians at the INPFL base while you were there?
So to be very frank with you, like at where I was there really briefly, but it was my first time going to the Kawe area. So, and where we were, it was some compound, kind of like off the road. I'm told it used to be some mining area. So, and almost everybody there was like a soldier. Where I remember encountering civilians was the first time when we moved out towards Fendel. There were a lot of displaced people that we came across there, but then we just passed through, and then went towards Carisburg area, going towards the Dusa Hospital. In fact, on our way to Dusa Hospital, we got caught up from 15 gate because MPF came and took that 15 gate junction. That's why we had to come back the same day to like open the road and then come back.
When did you join MPFL?
So again, like I say, joining will not really be my choice of words, because my encounter with NPFL is exactly what I told you, was sometime, in fact, like on the day of the April 6th, I had just left my house and got in on the road when these two vehicles came and they stopped me and the guy who was with me and said, "Who you with?" And I said, "Well, I'm with you." So that was actually on the 6th of April.
Where were you during the autopause?
Sorry?
Autopause.
I was in the States.
You was in the States?
Yeah. In fact, I was arrested just about that time when I told you earlier, and taken the Ministry of Defense. I spent one night at the post docket. The next day I was out, and the day after that I went to the States. I didn't come back to Liberia until around 96.
And the NPP-led government, how did you get into the fighting forces at the time?
So like I said, after my association with the MPFL and ULIMO, because at the time they were both combined, so it was not like I was a part of MPFL or I was a part of ULIMO. I was a part of their operations because both of them at the time worked together. So